Alright, let's do this. 8 mind-blowing laws that actually exist. All of them are real. All of them are enforced. None of them should exist. Number 8. In Singapore, chewing gum can land you a $100,000 fine. Since 1992, it has been illegal to sell chewing gum in Singapore. Not discouraged, not taxed heavily. Illegal. As in, if you import chewing gum into Singapore with the intent to sell it, you face fines up to $100,000 and up to 2 years in jail for gum. The ban was enacted because people kept sticking used gum on the sensors of subway doors, in keyholes, on elevator buttons, and under public furniture. The government decided the cleanest solution was the nuclear option. No more gum. The subway doors work now. The law was slightly relaxed in 2004 when the US pressured Singapore during the free trade agreement, but only for therapeutic gum, meaning nicotine gum or dental gum, and you can only get it from a pharmacist who records your name and ID when you buy it. Your chewing gum purchase goes into a government database. If you spit your gum on the ground in Singapore, that's a separate fine of up to $1,000 for a first offense and $2,000 for a second. Third offense? You get forced to clean a public area while wearing a sign that says, "I am a litterer." They literally make you wear a sign of shame. Singapore doesn't play around with gum. Other countries have a war on drugs. Singapore has a war on Hubba Bubba. Number 7. In Turkmenistan, black cars are banned. Since 2018, the government of Turkmenistan has enforced a ban on black-colored cars. If you drive a black car in Turkmenistan, it will be confiscated, not ticketed, not fined, seized by the government. Police have been reported pulling over black vehicles, impounding them on the spot, and telling owners they can pick them up after they get them repainted a lighter color at their own expense. The reason? The president of Turkmenistan, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, believes that white is a lucky color. He wears white. His buildings are white. The capital city Ashgabat holds a Guinness World Record for the most white marble buildings on Earth. And in 2018, he decided that cars should also be white, or at minimum not black. Silver is tolerated, gray is acceptable, but black? That's bad luck according to the president, and therefore illegal. Car dealerships in the country reportedly stopped importing black vehicles entirely. People who had already purchased black cars were told to repaint or surrender them. In some cases, owners were given as little as 24 hours to comply. The ban is not written into any public legislation that anyone can find. It appears to be enforced entirely through presidential decree and police discretion, which in Turkmenistan are essentially the same thing. This is a country where one man's superstition about color became a law that affects every car owner in the nation. Imagine buying a car, driving it home, and finding out the next day that the color you chose is now a crime. Turkmenistan makes North Korea look reasonable, and we haven't even gotten to North Korea yet. Number 6. In Italy, you're legally required to walk your dog every day. In Turin, Italy, there is an actual law that requires dog owners to walk their dogs at least 3 times per day. If you fail to walk your dog, you can be fined up to 500 euros. The law was passed in 2005 as part of a broader animal rights initiative, and it's not just a suggestion. Animal control officers can and do check on reported cases. The fine is real, the enforcement is real, and the dogs are presumably very happy. But it gets better. The same set of regulations also bans dyeing your pet's fur for cosmetic purposes, and prohibits keeping goldfish in round bowls, on the grounds that the curved glass distorts their view of the world and causes them suffering. So in Turin, you cannot have a goldfish in a round bowl because Italian lawmakers decided the fish deserves a better view. There is a government official whose job it is to determine whether a fish is looking through an acceptable shape of glass. This is a real city with real laws enforced by real people with presumably very confusing job descriptions. Number 5. In Germany, it's illegal to run out of gas on the Autobahn. Germany's Autobahn is famous for having sections with no speed limit. You can legally drive as fast as your car can go. 200 kilometers per hour? Legal. 300? Also legal. Your car's top speed is the only limit. But here's the catch nobody talks about. While driving at unlimited speed is legal, stopping on the Autobahn is not. And running out of gas is considered a preventable reason for stopping, which means if you run out of fuel on the Autobahn, you haven't just made a mistake. You've committed a traffic violation. You can be fined for it because German law considers your fuel level to be your responsibility, and allowing your car to stop on an unlimited speed highway is an act of negligence that endangers other drivers. So Germany said you can drive as fast as you want, but if you're too dumb to check your gas gauge, that's a crime. The logic is actually sound when you think about it. A stopped car on a highway where people are doing 250 is a death trap. But the result is a country where speeding is fine and running out of gas is illegal. Germany is the only country in the world where your fuel gauge has legal implications. Number 4. In Iran, prostitution is illegal, but temporary marriage is not. This is the one I mentioned in the intro. In Iran, prostitution is strictly illegal and punishable by severe penalties. But Iranian law, based on Shia Islamic jurisprudence, recognizes a concept called sihe, also known as nikah mutah, which translates to pleasure marriage or temporary marriage. Here's how it works. A man and a woman can enter into a marriage contract that has a set expiration date. The duration can be anything: a year, a month, a week, an hour. Yes, an hour. The contract must specify a mahr, which is a payment from the man to the woman, and when the time expires, the marriage is automatically dissolved. No divorce proceedings needed, no paperwork, it just ends. Now officially, temporary marriage exists for legitimate reasons, like allowing couples to get to know each other before committing to permanent marriage, but in practice, it has been widely used as a legal workaround for what is essentially paid companionship. The man pays the mahr, the temporary marriage lasts for a few hours, and then it's over. Everyone goes home, all technically legal. The clergy can officiate these marriages, and in some cities there are offices that specialize in processing them quickly. The international community has criticized this practice extensively, but within Iranian law, it's completely legitimate. It's been recognized for centuries in Shia tradition, and attempts to ban it have been unsuccessful because it's rooted in religious law. So Iran technically has one of the strictest anti-prostitution laws in the world, and simultaneously has a legally recognized system that some argue achieves a similar outcome through a different legal framework. The law says you absolutely cannot do the thing unless you do it this other specific way, in which case it's fine. Number 3. In Paraguay, dueling is legal as long as both parties are registered blood donors. This one sounds like it was written by someone who lost a bet. In Paraguay, the law technically permits dueling between two consenting adults, but only if both participants are registered blood donors. The reasoning, as far as anyone can tell, is that if you're going to risk bleeding, you should at least be the kind of person who's willing to give blood to save others. It's like the law is saying, you can try to kill each other, but only if you've demonstrated that you care about human life in at least one other context. The law is rarely invoked, and modern Paraguay doesn't exactly have people challenging each other to duels in the street. But it remains on the books as one of the most bizarre legal provisions in any country on Earth. Most countries either allow dueling or they don't. Paraguay said, "We'll allow it, but we're going to add the most random prerequisite imaginable." It's the legal equivalent of telling someone, yes, you can have dessert, but only if you eat your vegetables first. Except the vegetables are blood donation and the dessert is Mortal Kombat. Number 2. In Eritrea, the government limits how many guests you can have at your wedding. In Eritrea, one of the most isolated and authoritarian countries in Africa, the government has placed strict legal limits on private celebrations. By law, you are only allowed to invite a maximum of 150 guests to your wedding. If you exceed this number, you face fines and potential imprisonment. But it doesn't stop there. The law also dictates how much food you can serve, how many days the celebration can last, and in some cases the maximum amount of money that can be spent on the event. Government officials have been known to show up at weddings uninvited to count heads and verify compliance. If they determine you've exceeded the guest limit, the celebration can be shut down on the spot. The rationale, according to the government, is to prevent wasteful spending and enforce economic equality. In practice, it means the state has inserted itself into one of the most personal events in a person's life. Funerals have similar restrictions. Even mourning is regulated. You are allowed a maximum number of days to grieve, and exceeding this can result in penalties. The Eritrean government also enforces mandatory indefinite military conscription for all citizens, often lasting 10 to 20 years, which means many people can't even attend their own family's weddings because they're serving in the military with no end date. It's a country where the government decides how many people can watch you get married, how long you can be sad when someone dies, and whether you're allowed to stop being a soldier. Most countries don't care how many people come to your wedding. Eritrea made it a national security issue. Number 1. In North Korea, the government decides your haircut. North Korea has a state-approved list of 28 hairstyles, 14 for men, 14 for women. If your hair doesn't match one of the approved styles, you can be stopped by police and forced to get a compliant haircut immediately. This is not an exaggeration, and it's not a rumor. In 2005, the North Korean government launched a national campaign called "Let Us Trim Our Hair in Accordance with the Socialist Lifestyle." That's the actual name. It aired on state television. The program featured segments showing unapproved hairstyles alongside images of decadent Western culture, arguing that long or unusual hair drained nutrients from the brain and reduced intelligence. The government literally told its citizens that having the wrong haircut makes you dumber. Men's hair must be no longer than 5 centimeters, though older men are generously allowed up to 7 centimeters to cover baldness. Women have slightly more options, but nothing that could be considered Western or capitalist. Spiked hair is banned. Dyed hair is banned. Mullets are, perhaps understandably, also banned. Defectors have confirmed that hair inspections happen at schools, workplaces, and randomly on the street. If you're caught with non-compliant hair, you're photographed, publicly shamed, and sent to a barber. In extreme cases, violations can affect your social credit score and your family's standing with the government. Every country in the world regulates something. Some regulate guns, some regulate drugs. North Korea regulates your fade. And if you think you're safe because you have a normal haircut, remember that in North Korea, the government decides what normal means. Kim Jong-un's haircut is on the approved list, obviously. Coincidentally, it's the most popular choice. Funny how that works. And there you have it, 8 laws that prove the legal system is less like a carefully constructed framework and more like a group project where everyone did their section without talking to each other. From countries where chewing gum is a federal crime to places where the government decides your haircut, the law is full of surprises. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe because we have a lot more of these coming. Drop a comment and tell us which law surprised you the most. And if you're in Turkmenistan, please, for the love of all that is holy, do not buy a black car. See you in the next one.